Okay, cool. So today we're going to be creating a Next.js application linked to Supabase. We're going to write our tests to make sure these are connected, and then I'm going to show you how we get this all deployed to Vercel. So let's get started. First thing you're going to want to do is go over to Next.js.org. You can click this little quick link here to create your new app. We're going to go over here to our VS Code. I'm going to open up the terminal. And what we're going to do is we're going to paste that in, and we're going to just name our project. I'm going to call mine Supa Next Vercel. You can call yours whenever you want. So we'll go ahead and get that created. Just use the recommended defaults. Give that a minute, let it build, and we'll be right back. Okay, perfect. So once that's done, we're going to cd into our project. Code.-r if you want to. That'll put us directly in that repo. And the first thing we're going to want to do is open up our terminal, and we need to install the Supabase client SDK. So that's going to be npm install at supabase/supabase.js. Perfect. And now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Supabase. Okay, so here we are on Supabase. I already have an account. If you don't have one already, go ahead and sign up. And then you're going to go to your dashboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to click into our project, and we're going to create a new project. I'm just going to name mine the same as our project. We'll call it Supa Next Vercel. And password, I'm just going to use admin123 just to keep going. Create new project. Beautiful. Now that we have this project, first place we're going to want to do is load this up with some data and some tables just for our demo. So we're going to come over here to SQL editor. And I prepared the SQL script ahead of time just to save us some time. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this in here, just kind of give you an idea what this is creating. It's creating like a little mock, project and task. So users, project, tags, tasks, and task tags, right? So all you're gonna do is you're gonna copy this, highlight everything, command enter. We'll run it, run this query, and all we're looking for here is success, no rows returned. And just to prove that this database was created, we'll come over here to database, and we'll be able to see our whole schema here. Okay, beautiful. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to work on configuring our environment variables. So back here in our Next.js app, what we're going to do is we'll close the terminal for right now. In the very root of our project, we're going to create a file called .env.local. And we're going to prep this with 3 different environment variables that we need. So the first one's going to be next_public_supabase_URL equals. And then the next one's going to be next_public_supabase anon_key. And then the final one's going to be called supabase_project_ID. And then we're going to grab those details right now. So we're going to jump back over into Supabase. So in Supabase, what you're going to want to do is inside your project, you're going to click on Project Overview. We're going to scroll to the bottom where you see Project API. First, we're going to grab the project URL, copy, come back over to VS Code, paste that in there. Then we're going to go grab the anon key. So we'll go back over here to Supabase. We're going to grab the anon key, which is technically the API key. So we'll copy that. Oops. Paste that right there. And then the last thing we need to get is the Supabase project ID. And where we get that is actually going to be in the URL. So it's going to be right after the project route. So we'll just copy that. And we're going to bring that over, paste it. Perfect. So now we have all the environment variables that we need. So now what we're going to do is we're going to initialize the Supabase client. So we can go ahead and close this file for right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder in the root. We're just going to call it lib. And then inside of here, we're going to create our file. We're going to call this Supabase client.ts. And then in here, we're going to basically create our client that we can reference whenever we use Supabase in our project. So we'll start here. We'll import create client. And this is going to come from Supabase.js. And then right below that, we're going to go export const Supabase equals create client. And we'll do open parentheses, and we're going to go process.env.next public Supabase URL. Make sure you add the bang on the end. And then the next one we're going to add is next public Supabase anon key. Make sure you add that bang. That's all we need to do there. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an API to test our connection between our Next.js project and our Supabase. So how we're going to do that is inside of our app directory, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this API. And then inside of this, we're going to create a folder called test. And then inside of this folder, we're going to create a new file called route. Okay. And so inside of our route is where we're going to write the code to just test our connection to Supabase. So we'll start from the top. First, we're going to import Supabase. And it's going to come from our lib Supabase client. And then right below that, we're going to go export async function. It's just going to be a basic get. First thing we're going to do is we're going to destruct the data and the error. And this is going to come from an await from our Supabase. And we're going to go from, and the table that we're going to pull from is users. And we're just going to select all. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is check. We're going to say if there's an error. What I want you to do is I want you to console the error. And if you want to know where any of these errors are showing up, once we run our next app, these will show up in the server log. So we'll say something like Supabase connection failed. And then after that, we'll pass the error.message. Okay. And then right below that, we're just going to return new response. And this will be JSON.stringify. We'll do something like connected false. Then we'll go error. It's going to be the error dot message. And then right outside of the squiggly and the parentheses, we're going to do one more. And we're just going to do status 500, meaning something went wrong. Okay. And then that's all we need to do for that check. The next thing we're going to do is if that doesn't check, then we're going to assume that everything's good. We're going to say console.log, and we're going to say Supabase connected successfully. And then right below that, we're going to do our return new response. And this will be JSON.stringify. We'll say connected is true. Users is going to be data. And then outside of that, we're going to do a status of 200. Perfect. So essentially all this is doing is saying, hey, give us data and error from our Supabase client where we're pulling from users, grab all users. If there's an error, show us the error. If it's connected successfully, show us this. Okay. Now we have our test. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start our project. So inside the root of your project, just run npm run dev. Beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to jump over into our browser and test this endpoint. Okay, back over here in the browser, what we're going to do is just going to go localhost 3000, and then we're just going to go API test. And if you see data come back, that means your Next.js app is successfully connected to Supabase. And just to prove that, we have Alice Johnson and Bob Smith. So if we come back over here to Supabase, we look at our table editor, we come over here to users, you'll see that Alice Johnson and Bob Smith are coming from the database. So we are looking at dynamic data here. If you made it this far, great. Okay, now one good habit to do is before we even move on to the next step, let's make sure that our entire application can compile correctly. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kill this server and we're going to run the following command. We're going to go npm run build. So we're going to let this run, and what we're looking for is all these green checks. If all these green checks and you didn't get any red or warnings or anything like that, we're good to go. That means our application was able to compile successfully and we shouldn't have any issues when we go to deploy to Vercel. Okay, now, next step that we want to do is now that we have kind of our app ready to go, we want to take all of our code and we want to first commit it to our GitHub. Okay, so I have my GitHub connected to my VS Code. This is very easy to get set up in VS Code. So you come here, I'm going to just go initial commit. We'll add everything, commit the changes, publish to branch. For right now, I'm just going to make this a private repository. And then once this gets pushed, we'll be all good. Perfect. Now we're ready to deploy to Vercel. Okay, so back in the browser, we're going to go to Vercel.com. Now, I already have a Vercel account. If you don't have one, go ahead and sign up. And once you get signed up, you should land on a page that looks similar to this. And the first thing you're going to do is go to projects. You're going to click on add new project. And if it's your first time getting this all set up, you'll probably have to sync your GitHub, but that's completely fine. And once you get that synced up, what it's going to do is going to show your most recently committed repo, which in our case is the Supabase Vercel. And all we're going to do is just click on import. And there's only one thing that we have to do here. So if we go back to our code and we grab our environments, you can literally just copy all of this, come back to Vercel, come down here where it says environment variables, open that up, just put your cursor, focus on where it says key, and just paste, and it'll paste all your environment variables in there. And then the next step is just click deploy. And we'll give this a minute, so once this starts going, you can actually like see the build logs. This is essentially running the same exact thing that we ran before we committed our code. And just give this a minute, and once it's done, we'll come right back and test it. Boom, there we go. Congratulations, you just deployed a new project. And so what's cool is like straight from here, you can just click directly on this and it'll actually show Vercel app. And this is essentially, you know, Vercel's, I call it like a stealth URL, staging URL. But one thing we can do is we can actually test the endpoint. So we can say /API/test. And as you can see, we're pulling data locally from our API and also from our Vercel app. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you wanted to do some extra credit, maybe you want to connect a custom domain and you're like, hey, I don't really like this stealth domain. I bought a domain. I'd like to connect it. I can show you how to do that really quickly. Come back over here to Vercel. If you just click on the logo, take you back here. Let's find our application that we just created. So there's Supabase, so we'll just click on that project. And then what we're going to do here is you just click on domains, and then you can just add domain. If you already own a domain, you just enter it in here. Follow the on-screen instructions. If you bought one from GoDaddy or Namecheap or wherever you bought your registrar from, your domain from your registrar, you just follow those instructions. GoDaddy I found is the easiest, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're just going to need to update some name servers. So whether you do that in sync or you do that through the Vercel kind of editor, that's pretty much all you need to do. Also, you can buy your domains directly through here if you want to. And that's it. That's how easy it is. Hope this was helpful.